Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back for a new internet computer update in a new, hey, I was looking for something else, and once again, I stumbled upon ICP video. Okay, so last week, I looked at DeFi Llama. I was looking at the fastest growing chains when it comes to TVL because ICP has been lagging behind in DeFi. And all of a sudden, I'm seeing money flowing into ICP, and I wasn't even looking for anything with ICP, so I had to make a video updating what in the world is going on with Internet Computer. And here I am again, looking at commits, looking at the actual work that is being done, the volume of work that is being done, and what do I come to find when I find this information? Well, looking on the left side of the screen here, you can see project, commit, Cardano #1. That was kind of surprising to me. I mean, it's not too surprising to me to see Cardano #1. I know that they're doing work. Last cycle, last bull run, Cardano, we joked, was a meme coin. Now, you know, they are doing work. They have been doing work. Ethereum #2, no surprise at all. But there we go. Internet Computer #3 in commits in the last year. I was not looking for that, and yet I found it. Stuff is being done. We are working. We're developing. I'm not doing anything. I'm just a fanboy or whatever you want to call me. But work is getting done with Internet Computer. That has me very excited for the future. There's some other things I want to point out here. I read this article. It's a 4-minute article. Dfinity published it 18 hours ago from the making of this video, how ICP's Bitcoin integration secures private keys. And so if you know anything about what ICP brings to the table, you know about their canisters, and you know with Bitcoin integration, with ICP canisters, that's a big deal. Smart contracts with Bitcoin. Internet Computer being potentially, which will be a help to Bitcoin, to Ethereum. We talked about last week how I'm convinced that Internet Computer is not trying to be a killer. You know, everything's labeled as an ETH killer, and Internet Computer can be lumped in to other so-called ETH killers. But what I think ICP is trying to do is increase the overall size of the pie. And what that's going to yield in the long run, instead of competing but bolstering up the whole network, is that Internet Computer will see an increase in the size, an increase of their slice of the pie, So, canisters, Bitcoin, huge deal, but here's the question. How do we secure the keys? How do we secure the private keys? Because this can cause some vulnerabilities with the canisters, with how are they storing the private keys? And so here's their response. Holding the private keys in the canisters state might potentially expose them to malicious nodes when the ICP network. This article talks about that billions of dollars in the last year were lost through certain vulnerabilities with things like this. So holding the private keys in the canister state might potentially expose them to malicious nodes when the ICP network, which could grant access to the user's digital asset. To prevent this, ICP uses threshold cryptography, so that private keys are never entirely stored on any single node or a canister. They've already thought through this because, blockchain trilemma. Decentralization, security, scalability. Security seems to be a huge deal with a lot of these other blockchains. I'm looking at Solana, Thorchain, etc. How is ICP going to attack that up front instead of having to deal with it on the back end, which a lot of these have had to do? Brilliant. Love it. Okay, so we've talked about the work that's being done with ICP, talked about this article, quick summary, don't want to get into it, but I am back on DeFi Llama again because I just wanted to see some updates. What are we seeing in terms of TVL change with Internet Computer in comparison to other blockchains or to other layer 2s, whatever? And we're seeing ICP at #4. Last week it was ranging between #5 and #3, but really it's #3 because Polkadot, I don't know what's going on here. 0 TVL, but 1 month change, 1,300%, 7-day change. There's some kind of glitch in the system there. So ICP is really #3. Last time I checked this, last week, we were seeing a 1 month change of around 300%. And now we're seeing 1,027%. This last week was at in the $30 million range, and now we're seeing TVL at $89 million. So there is something brewing with ICP when it comes to DeFi. We've already talked about Sonic. We've talked about what that's bringing to the table with ICP, with DeFi, with TVL, with money being locked in to the system. But this is going to be an uptrend, and we are going to see, in my opinion, ICP not just fit in this others category here, but be one of the top chains when it comes to TVL. Where will it land here? I wouldn't be surprised if it ended up being number 3, number 2 at some point. It's going to take a few years, I think. But at some point, and maybe even though it's not an ETH killer, maybe even one day number 1, we've got a long way to go because Ethereum has $31 billion locked in. Like I said, ICP has 89 million. So we got a long way to go. But, you know, I mean, seeing that ICP is currently at about a $5.5 billion market cap and knowing that it's lagging behind in DeFi, the amount of exposure that this can gain, the amount of people needing to get in and out of ICP, the sky really is the limit, excuse me. So with that in mind, looking at the price chart, I talked about this last week. I'm going to say it again. As long as this is the rule, as long as ICP is holding the 20-day EMA as support, I am just going to treat this as my point for new entries. And so right now, we're pretty close to that entry point. ICP is at $12.28 as the moment I'm making this video. Right now, the 20-day EMA is at $12.22. So I would consider now to be a good entry. If this level fails, then the 50-day EMA would be my next venture, my next spot, and that's right around $10. And so we did have some interaction there. Below there, I would see the lowest level of the lowest wick in this previous range that we were in a few weeks ago. So right now, holding the 20-day EMA is the thought that as long as we follow this rule, which we've been following for over 3 months now, that is my mentality with ICP. But you know, we're kind of in an interesting place with Bitcoin, and we've got to pay attention to this because we did lose the 20-day EMA as support for Bitcoin, and you know, as Bitcoin goes, so goes the rest of the market. So right now we're holding the 50-day EMA, and I actually am encouraged by how long we've been holding the 50-day EMA with Bitcoin, because I remember in the past seeing Bitcoin, previous times where Bitcoin just rode the 20-day EMA. When it lost the 20-day EMA as support, we lost the 50-day EMA pretty quickly. So if Bitcoin loses the 50-day EMA, 100-day EMA, but then this $36,000 level right here, the 382 fib, that's where I'd be looking for support. And of course, that's going to affect ICP. ICP will go down, but it's not going to go down, I don't think, to these levels here, the $5 range. I think right back down to this range, which we spent a little bit of time in. So those are my general thoughts. Gun to my head, we are holding an important fib level here. And really, and I posted on my X, WW Bitcoin, that if you just look at this from a weekly candle with Bitcoin, we're really just being pretty boring right here. We had a little bit of excitement going up to 618, but the last 6 weeks, we've just been hanging around right around here. So what does that mean for ICP? You know, Bitcoin's dominance is going down. I would expect, we'll see, I would expect another leg up. We'll see. Okay, so those are my thoughts, but I would love to hear your thoughts. Where do you think we're going with ICP? Do you think that this is a good entry point? Let me know in the comment section of this video. Smash up that like button, hit the subscribe button. And like I said, multiple videos on a regular basis with Internet Computer in mind. Those will be coming as they have been already been made. So I will most certainly be seeing you in another video. Peace.